All right, we are recording. So, hello everyone. Today, today's topic will be actually how to stand out in your SEO career and how to differentiate yourself as an SEO consultant. Something that we really need and want in our daily lives and jobs. So, I have pleasure to have my today's guest, Peter Rota, who is a lead SEO specialist. So when I saw that, we made some connection. We were talking about that, and then I was really seeing that he is making himself stand out in the LinkedIn. So thank you so much for having a time and want to discuss this with me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you reaching out. And I always feel grateful or beneficial when people find my content useful. And I like, we'll talk about the interview, but I try to just be transparent and provide value. But yeah, looking forward to chatting and definitely providing value when I can.
Mm-hmm. And before we move on, about how you did start your SEO journey and how was it?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I kind of got it into a lot of like similar SEO. So essentially, I had went to college. I went to school for sports management, and I was had a sports blog that I was kind of passionate about, kind of just writing about topics that were, I guess, controversial during sports. Then it was 2011, and started to kind of get some traction, but I wanted to essentially better promote it and see if I could grow the blog. So, as one does, they kind of start Googling things, and I kept seeing this mention of SEO, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you could actually influence like how Google ranks pages and whatnot. So, I had some success kind of implementing some tactics like better optimization of content, internal linking, um, promoting some of the content. So I did some like Reddit posting, was successful there. And then I got some traction on the blog from that, and I thought like maybe I will try to see if I can get an internship, and I got an internship working for an agency, and that went pretty well. And then another internship with another agency, and become a marketing associate. And yeah, it's kind of turned into a career. So I really enjoy it. I think what's great about SEO is that it's constantly changing, but there's always ways to continue to challenge yourself. And it's never a dull moment for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you say, like, what helped you the most during this career to overcome the challenges that you had?
I think definitely getting that hands-on experience, because I think when a lot of people start SEO, they try to read every guide possible and know every single thing, but it's like you're going to learn so much more if you just have at least some basic knowledge and you actually start doing it. So I feel like, well, I do learn a good amount from my day to day. I feel like I learn a lot from my freelance that I could kind of translate into my job, and that helps me get more ideas and value and just kind of just bring different perspectives that maybe other people might not have. So I've always particularly enjoyed that, and just educating myself as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. And you are bringing you unique perspectives, but like what I'm seeing with other SEO specialists, like they are so afraid to bring something like new because it's also there is a risk of some opposite, like perspectives, like people will argue something. So how did you overcome that fear of kind of like being rejected?
It's a great question. I mean, I think honestly, I in life, not everyone's gonna love you, not everyone's gonna hate you, but you have to just be true to yourself. And it's like I'd rather be transparent in myself and maybe not appeal to everyone, but at least the people that like you, they know you're authentic, and that will help bring more value than all these people that are following you because you're appealing to like the masses or something. So I've never been afraid to kind of share how I feel about things. And I think as a society, we've gone away from you can see other people's points of view and have a dialogue without getting mad and angry. So it's like, I think that's just something where it's like, we need to have these conversations, and there's different viewpoints, and people can be open and see different things. And it's not like, oh, because they see it this way, they're wrong. It's like, we need to spend more time seeing things from different perspectives, I think.
Yeah, and definitely it's much more easier to live this life and not just like pretending and like thinking like what others will say, like what I should say, like is this smart to post or like nothing. But also I wanted to ask you about the journey and like since do you feel that SEO market is becoming like saturated, like in is there now harder to differentiate yourself than ever before?
Yeah, I think I would definitely say it's becoming harder now because the barrier entry is super low now. It's like because everyone can create content with AI, and most of the tools are super cheap or free. So yeah, it's become very hard to kind of differentiate yourself. And I do think there's some saturation too, especially like everyone's like pitching SEO and it's like, oh, it's a gold mine and all this stuff. But I think it's just everyone has access to all the technology now and it's made it super cheap, especially with AI when it was like before. I mean, I've been in SEO a while, so I was in my early SEO, I was paying people from like third world countries that speak like English as a second language and they're writing my content. And now it's like you can get AI content, which is either at par or better than some of that, and it's like practically free. So I think it's just the democratization of content is so cheap, and it's definitely made it much more competitive. But I think at the same point, it's made it more valuable, I guess, for certain businesses because they realize they need to be in search engines because a lot of people are online now. They're on their mobile phones, they're doing most of their interactions via online. So I think it
Mm.
has its ups and downs, I guess.
Yeah, and also I think it's kind of like people are more open for like specializing in specific things, you know, like it's not like, oh, you need to be like SEO specialist, no,
Yeah.
to content technical, like, you know, every B2B, B2C, e-commerce. And now I got a feeling that like it's more easier to specialize yourselves because like people are more open to it, and also they value more specializations like than it was before. And for people who want to specialize in the specific area, you know, like the most kind of like fears that they are having, like, oh, it's too niche, then I will lose another clients if I'm specializing myself in the e-commerce, then I will lose like B2B or like so how did you differentiate yourself, and like if you can share some advices for people who are doing this now?
I mean, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle where I do a few things pretty well. I mean, so on my side, like I mentioned, I do freelance, but I am working with both a client in local SEO and then also a client that sells these parts for boat motors, which is kind of they're kind of e-commerce. So I think essentially when you're starting out, it's kind of you figure out it's good to get experience in a few different areas to kind of see what appeals to you most and what you enjoy. And then once you really want to specialize, pick one area that has just demand, ideally people that have money and they see the value, and essentially try to build up take on maybe some free work or some case studies to kind of build your proof and get like kind of a lead magnet. So essentially what I do is I'll do a free audit, and I've been able to get some recurring slash one-off work from that. But essentially you're basically providing value that they would be compelled to essentially sign you or get work
Mm.
from you. So I think I've done a lot of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't super hyper focus on stuff right now, but I mean, like I mentioned, I've done a variety, so I think it's just important to get that initial variety, and then pick some area that you can really differentiate yourself and per, speak to your USP, how it's different than other people. So, like, I guess my example is like I try to talk about no BS SEO. So it's like I don't like to BS people or SEOs or clients because like I want to sleep at night, and it's like I think transparency is very important in life, especially in digital
Mm-hmm.
marketing, because it seems that there's a lot of these agencies, they take on all these clients and they're not very transparent in their ways. So I just think, yeah, I mean, I guess that's I kind of went on a tangent, but that's essentially how I differentiate myself is my approach to transparency and just things that actually produce results.
Yeah, and also you mentioned that, like, like if you don't feel that you really need to specialize in one thing, like, like then it's not right timing, because
Yeah.
like that invite, like, and if you are seeing like bunch of like these specific clients you are enjoying in that industry, then like maybe it's time. But like if you don't see yourself that like it's just like the decision is not with the ease, then like something is off. So the right timing will come. So there is no kind of specific rule, like should you go very niche, should you go
Yeah.
this. I would also like advise people to just like align your business
Mhm.
with your personality.
Yeah,
Like
for
if
sure.
you are more holistic SEO, if you want to even to check PPC, just like to have some analysis, then just like go with it, because like even if you are a freelancer, like that's your business, and we really need to make our business in the alignment with us, because if it's there is no connection, like in the long term we will not like it, we will start hating. So otherwise, like we can just like work for corporation and like hating. But like
Yeah.
if we are making that business ours, like let's make it as extension of us, because then it will not be our job, it will be just like part of what we really love, part of the passion. The another thing that I wanted to go with you is what I'm really see kind of the I will not say a common thing, but maybe it is SEO consultant who are sharing their knowledge on the LinkedIn, but
Mhm.
in terms of not getting new clients, sharing just like knowledge about SEO, what they know. So
Mhm.
do you see the difference between like sharing the LinkedIn post that will actually acquire your clients versus just like educating like other people who you don't have intention working with?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a certain middle ground. So generally, like posts that maybe tend to do great, a lot of them could go viral, but they're more about for SEOs. Whereas, like, I've done case studies where maybe I didn't get as much views, but I got more leads slash queries for especially SEO consulting. So I think it really just depends on what you want to achieve. My goal at this point is to kind of continue to build my personal brand. Um, so I feel like I'm doing that, but also get new clients. So I think it's just I could be posting anything from educating SEOs, or it's like here's a testimonial from a client. Here's like how I would work with you, or here's like what not to look for an SEO consultant. So I think especially with social media, certain we've become hyper focused on likes, impressions, and all that stuff. But you have to remember what your end goal is. Like if you're getting maybe less impressions, but you're getting more people reaching out and wanting your service, and you're doing the right thing. So it's like you really need to just figure out like what's your end goal. If your goal is to just get as many virality and comments, like great. Like I remember I had a post go viral. It wasn't really about SEO, but it was something about 3 years, maybe 2 years back, and I got interviewed by Business Insider from it, and like I didn't get any SEO clients out of it, but it was good just to get the visibility. But I think it's just there's a hyper fixation now on everything has to be like go viral as many likes as possible, and it's just like you got to focus on what works, and it's like what's going to compel someone to reach out to you. So it's like people want an expert, people want to trust someone that knows what to talk about, people want to see some proof of results, and it's like how would this person solve my problem. So I would say like be able to solve the problem of their potential prospects, show how you've done it, proof of work, setting up a good like lead magnet or like some free opt-in. So I do like the free audit, but you could also create an ebook where it's like what to look for in SEO consultant, and basically you lay out everything, make it so easy for them, and they're like, oh well, I'll just hire this person because they just made it sound so easy, or I don't feel like reading this anymore. So I think it's just hitting different aspects.
Yeah, because when you are helping people to solve their problem, just like as you mentioned, like how to hire as your consultant, people get connected and attached to you. And like in the end of the day, like people work with people. So that's actually our personal why we are building like our personal brands, because people want to work with us, not like we just like, I don't know, if we are SEO for this, that they are coming for this. And when you actually stood out in the LinkedIn is putting the elite in your title.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with that? And like, what is there any story behind it?
I mean, I kind of used ChatGPT for a suggestion, but I kind of try to avoid using SEO expert in my title because, as you've seen, everyone's basically saying they're an SEO expert now in the title, and it's like it's kind of almost lost any significance. So I wanted to find a way to position myself as far as like this person clearly knows what they're talking about, but they're not using like SEO expert. So I think it's funny how SEO works, where it's like you want to be an expert, but if you say you're an expert to another SEO, their eyes mostly roll. But when you're selling to clients or talking to clients, you want to position yourself as an expert because if I'm not going to trust someone that doesn't know what they're doing. So it's like I'm an SEO. I think I talked about to someone, but like I'm an SEO practitioner to SEOs, but I'm an SEO expert to clients.
Yeah, like SEO experts, like there is a word with a negative tendency, and
Yes.
what I'm seeing is actually don't say that you are expert, like show that you are
Yeah,
expert, so
exactly.
people
Show.
get that like you are expert. Like, but if you are saying the expert, like you lost like all the trust that you are getting. Did you get any feedback from the clients that that is something that was like interesting for them, that they see like elite in the title? Do you have like maybe any data around this?
I mean, I haven't really heard anything particularly about that, but I'm, I think it's good to always test things. I mean, right now I've had that for a while, but yeah, I mean, there is probably stuff I could be doing better, but I feel like overall I've been pretty good at accomplishing things. I mean, right now I'm trying to get more retainer type clients. So, I mean, even good thing about LinkedIn too is like it validates other things. So it's like maybe people see me on Upwork or LinkedIn, then they Google my name and they're like, "Oh, this person is legitimate. They're right about SEO." So it's like, though, like sometimes I would love to get more leads on LinkedIn, but I do get a lot on like Upwork, and I think I just need to direct message a bit more. But I think overall I've been pretty good successful as far as like what I've wanted to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. And then what would you advise for people who are just like starting in the SEO, like how to, because for example, for, Upwork for the new people is just kind of like, I will not say like impossible, but like it's definitely much more harder to stand out than, for example, on LinkedIn. So how would you say, like, if I'm as new as your consultant is starting, having just like 1 year of the experience, like how, what to do to actually build that personal brand and find their clients?
You're speaking specifically to Upwork, correct?
Um,
Or anywhere?
we can mention like
Okay.
any platform.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to the initial stuff where it's like, if you're just starting out, you kind of offer your services for free to get some of those initial case studies and you kind of build upon that. And then once you start getting those initial case studies, you can kind of basically start charging for your services. And I mean, ways to do that is like I mentioned, Upwork. So it's like, what I feel like has been the most successful for me on there is the fact that like I got some initial quick reviews, which I feel like most people won't hire someone if they don't have good reviews at this point. So it's like I did a really good job with that. Made my headline kind of SEO specific. Um, the body copy of that, I specifically wrote like services I offer, why hire me, what makes me different than other SEOs. I have all these case studies and like proof of results. And I think specifically case studies work really well because it kind of, um, at least when I do a case studies, I like to get more than third party data. So it's like I do like here's SEMrush, but here's also like Google Search Console and GA because I think it's, I mean, the clients, I think they don't know the difference, but like it makes it more legitimate because it's like here's a case study where I did increase the traffic, but like I also try to focus on what's your KPIs. If it's like I increased traffic, but you didn't make them more money, it's like great. So it's like when I do a case study, I'll be like, I improve like the traffic, I improve like the amount I made them X amount, or I improve the conversions, or I improve the form. So I think all clients want more traffic, but their ultimate goal is to make more money. And if you can't make them money, then they're going to go with someone else, or they're going to just not trust you.
And if you can prove that actually the money that they are earning now is from your efforts, I think that is always tricky part. Like you can
Yes.
bring like everything and show traffic, but let's make the alignment that like our work is really making our money, because like that is the ultimate like what all business owners is looking for. And my only like thing and view, like from when we having these profiles, doesn't matter is it like Upwork, like LinkedIn, go check your profile from the owner's shoes, you
Yeah.
know, like will you hire yourself? And I know it's very hard to not be subjective and
Yeah.
like how great I am, but actually like is it clear, you know, like in most of the times like we as a SEO thinkers, like we are using so many like SEO abbreviations, but like for the people who are we working for, like these abbreviations like doesn't mean anything, and like it makes just like more confusion. And if it's not clear for them, like they will not hire us definitely. So just kind of like stand out, being like, hey, if I'm business owner, if I'm B2B, if I'm like doesn't matter like we want to work for, will it be clear what I can provide for them? And definitely like always, you know, like always changing, you know, like doesn't matter headlines, descriptions, like ways how you present, because in these changes you are seeing, oh, this is better than I had before, or this is worse than I had before. Let's change it. So in your SEO journey, what was the biggest challenge for yourself that you really had a hard time to overcome, that it was like very hard lesson to learn?
Yeah, so I guess this might be interesting because it deals with SEO, but I guess it's an interesting take. So, essentially, when I first got into the SEO field, I basically couldn't get past the first round of interviews, and I had built upon that pretty good success. I had a good foundation, but essentially, when I went into interviews, they viewed my, I guess, nonverbal communication as not interested, or my intonation or tone as really not engaged. So the biggest obstacle for me was actually getting the job. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, I worked with a coach, and they specialize in like working with people on the spectrum and disabilities. And essentially, I disclosed that I have like nonverbal learning disorder of high functioning Asperger's, and like it affects like my nonverbal communication and like my intonation. But I am interested in the job, and I was able to get success. So I think that was definitely initially my first biggest one. I think beyond that, it's just being able to, I guess, always um, be more proactive to updates rather than reactive. So I think a lot of that requires the continual education and learning, which I do enjoy a ton. But if you don't like to continually educate and you just want kind of an easy job where you just sit around and nothing happens, SEO is probably not the good field for you. So I think it's just that continuing education. And another thing too is like I was always afraid to maybe ask too many questions. So I mean, now when I have a question, obviously we're SEO, so I Google things. So it's like I try to at least get somewhat of an educated guess or answer before I reach out to supervisors, just because like I think questions are fine, but there's a point where it's like you could have Googled this information. So I would probably just say like, at least for me, like the interviews, the constant new learnings, and then maybe just asking too many questions.
And yeah, and is actually question impactful? You know, like if we can make and find it answers on Google, then just like let's take time for answers that we can find about
Yes.
a lot of things from the clients. And I'm glad that you mentioned actually that coach thing, because I'm seeing across my clients that asking for a coach is the last thing. And when you
Yes.
put yourself at the lowest point, when you it's for SEOs, it's easy to, you know, like to Google, to learn new things, to go with different courses, webinars, learning new things, you know, like gaining the experience. But when we need to ask for a help, especially like third person, especially coach, because again, there is a negative tendency, like, you know, about these kind of soft skills, but like in some point of our life we can't achieve greater things and hit that next thing, getting the job that we really want, you know, like we are staying in a toxic environment because we are just like don't have these soft skills to overcome this challenge.
Yeah.
So what was your actually turning point that you decided like, hey, this is like not going anymore like this, I'm going to hire a third person who can actually help me to overcome this skill and like reach that goal?
Yeah, so it was actually my mother suggested it because, like I mentioned, I was getting all these interviews and not getting past further. So she had basically done some research, and the woman's actually local to me, but she basically reached out to her, and I think I worked with her for like 2 or 3 years. So she helped me a lot with like just getting better interviewing and just resume stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely takes this very certain character trait to be vulnerable and ask for help. But at the same point, it's like um, Tony Robbins has this quote where it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And it's like if you have the money, just pay for the coach. So it's like I'd rather just pay someone that knows what they're doing than maybe eventually figure it out. But then it's like you drive yourself insane in the process. So,
Yeah, and that's the thing. And always money is the even like it's good excuse like why you are not doing this, but also actually a good thing that you see like what is really priority for you.
Exactly.
You know, like it's easy to save that money, but like when you know that actually investment in something that will bring more money in the future, then like you're saying like, yeah, this is like great choice, I'm making a good decisions. And then it's great test to see how actually successful people are thinking, because you will not meet successful people who are not having their mentors, coaches, therapists, like so many like different people doing and helping them to succeed in some areas they are not experts. So that is something that I also like want to kind of like put more visibility, because this is something that I don't know, it was my journey when I was starting in my company, you know, like I was seeing that actually I was reaching my burnout. Even everything else was fine, but you know, like I was promoted, I was getting like everything, but not on that like mental and feelings. So I don't know, is there anything else that you would like to share that maybe we didn't mention, but you think that it's important around that topic, how to differentiate yourself in your SEO journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just being your authentic self. So don't be afraid to speak your like point of view. I mean, the thing with SEO, I haven't gotten in trouble, but I'll call out Google because like obviously there people take certain things from them as like face value, and it's like you need to read between the lines. You need to look at the search engines and see what's ranking. So I think it's being able to provide different perspectives, and if everyone's thinking such and such about a certain thing and you have a different viewpoint, feel free to bring that. But don't be afraid to like I guess I've had people comment and make fun of me for certain things, but it's like you can't appeal to everyone, and like I mentioned, like why be fake? So I think it's just that, and just like be consistent. So like whether that's I mean, it's taken me, I think I've been posting maybe on LinkedIn for like 3 years now, but like you want to be consistent and don't just give up because you're not getting results immediately. So you need to like have a plan and just keep providing value and just don't give up because it's hard. So, I mean, I'd probably say those things too. And going back to like the investing, like you're going to get a better investment on by investing in yourself, and you'll make more money doing that by like just obviously I still invest in stocks and everything, but you want to be able to invest in yourself because that'll be the greatest return. So
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned like the thing that we really need to put our perspective, because if you have like all people agree with you, then it's like something is wrong with you. And that is the thing, like when you putting your unique perspectives, you are getting again like people who are thinking the same, and those connections are stronger.
yeah, agreed.
And definitely it's win-win situation for all people. And like if you're just like sharing what everybody is knowing, then like you're not interested, and like anyone doesn't have any kind of additional interest in you because like you're sharing the same thing as anybody else.
Yeah, I think too, it's like be a real person. So with my LinkedIn profile, I try to share both my successes and some failures because I think at this point it's like people are tired of following people or engaging people where it's like, oh, everything's perfect and I never had an issue. And it's like social media has created this image where everyone's perfect. And I think people do miss vulnerability in that human side. And I try to show that. And like, I had a post where it's like, I haven't made like 6 figures on here, but here's what I have done. So it's like, I think people miss that just authenticness of just people, and everything seems so like polished, and I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think we are so tired, you know, like of
It's-
everything is perfect. Like I'm just like doing this great. I'm
yeah,
like every day perfect, feeling good. Like, you know, like we are just like, and it's not even like interesting to
yeah,
see that like everything is perfect. No, like what we really want to see that like we are the same humans, and like we are struggling, you know, like we have just like different families,
yeah,
jobs, but actually we are feeling the same feelings every day, you know, stress, anxiety, over overbooked,
yeah,
less booked, overwhelmed, burnout.
yeah,
Like we are the same, you know, like these feelings are the same. We just have like different bosses, different clients, different rankings and everything, but we are the same. So I really actually I really love to see like other people are like sharing some of their like even like learnings from the bad past experiences, because that connect me with them on the human level. When I
yeah,
see like everything is perfect, it's just like it's not aligned with me, because I know like what I'm struggling for, like how I overcome some things, and that is something that I really value, not like these fake confidence, fake everything is perfect. Okay,
yeah,
Peter,
for sure.
so okay, anything you would like to add? I don't want to cut you.
Uh, no, I mean, no, I really appreciate again the time, and I guess if anyone's wants to learn more about me, just Google my name, Peter Rhoda, and it comes up on Google, or you can visit my website, peterrhodaseo.com. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me, and I hope your audience gets value from our conversation.
And thank you so much for this real conversation. I think we didn't have oh, this is something I did great. And so it was kind of like everyday struggles and life that SEOs are going through. So thank you so much for it.
Yeah, thank you.